by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
He is the voice of the Buffalo Bills. John Murphy joins us on SicEm365 Radio, and what a week it's been. What a year it's been for Buffalo, Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. John Murphy joins us on SicEm365 Radio. John, thank you very much for your time. What is the city of Buffalo like with this week coming up in a championship moment?
Yeah, people are almost out of their minds, really. I mean, they haven't been to this game in 26, 27 years. They know what it's like to get into Super Bowls. The Bills never won one, obviously. But the good thing about it is it's the culmination of like a 4-year building period, and it works. You can build a program and establish a culture and build a program and win. And that's what's happened here in Buffalo under Sean McDermott over the last 4 years. I think folks are excited about this week, this game, and excited about the future, the immediate future as well.
How nervous were the fans when, and obviously the Wilson family hadn't had success in a little bit before they sold the team, but how nervous were fans when the team got sold about what the future would be?
Well, before they were officially sold to the Pickell family, people were nervous. There were bidders, as there would be whenever an NFL team is up for purchase. I mean, and it doesn't. If you were starting a new NFL, putting 32 teams around the country, you would not put one in this particular market because it is small. It's much smaller than it was in 1960 when Mr. Wilson established a franchise here. But there were 3 or 4 serious purchasers lined up. The guy named Donald Trump was said to be one of them. I don't know how serious that was. But in the end, the Pagullas outbid everybody. And the Pagullas have a dedication to the city. They split time between here and a home in Florida. Terry Pickell started a company not far from here, drilling fracking wells down in western Pennsylvania. So he's familiar with Buffalo. He really came in as the hockey team owner first, the Buffalo Sabres, about 3 or 4 years before he purchased the Bills. And once it was established that he was the leading bidder and the winning bidder, I think folks breathed easy. At that point, the day he bought it, Pickell promised he would never move the team, and that put a lot of people's fears to rest.
John, Josh Allen has been such an incredible player so far for Buffalo, and back in 2018, there was a lot of debate. Him, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson. I mean, all these guys were first-round quarterbacks. What has Josh Allen meant on the field, obviously, but also off the field for this Bills franchise? Yeah, he's meant everything. He's a perfect fit for this franchise. We had this discussion in our broadcast booth last Saturday night after the game, after the Bills advanced to this game. If you were going to redraft the 2018 draft, 5 quarterbacks, how would you draft them? And I think for Buffalo, Josh Allen would be the number 1. Now, I don't know that he was the number 1 going into that draft for the Bills. I know they were very interested in Sam Darnold, but they got Josh Allen at number 7 after Darnold had taken off the board and after Baker Mayfield. And I think he's the perfect fit. He's a hardworking guy. He applies himself. He works at it. He studies. He's likable. He's unassuming. I mean, he's a perfect fit for this town. I think folks have adopted him, and he likes it here. I'm sure he likes it here.
How amazing has the trade for Stephon Diggs been?
Yeah, I think it's the best offseason acquisition for the 2020 season, quite frankly. There have been a couple of other good ones, including Buckner going to Indianapolis. But nobody's had more impact than Stephon Diggs, leading the league in receiving yards. He worked seamlessly with Josh Allen with a very short preseason, no preseason games, and no offseason conditioning work. He stepped right in, and he's worked perfectly with Josh Allen. And moreover, I think there were some questions from his short tenure in Minnesota about whether he was a team player and a locker room guy. He had voiced dissatisfaction with the number of targets he was getting in Minnesota, wasn't crazy about Kirk Cousins. And so there were concerns, I think, a little bit about how he might fit in here, and he's fit in great. He's a great teammate. He counsels his younger teammates. He puts his arm around Josh and talks to him about routes that he wants to run and passing concepts they want to use. He's been a tremendous teammate. I think that surprised many people, and it's just added to his value for the Buffalo Bills.
So if I drove by a dumpster outside of the stadium on a Sunday, how many tables would I find there? And do you recycle the tables? What happens to these tables that the Bills Mafia breaks every week?
I don't think that goes on much anymore, to be honest with you. I think there was a long time. The Bills went 17 years without getting a playoff berth, and fans were upset and they were restless and they were looking for entertainment. And some people, how they would reach this conclusion, I don't know, but some people thought it'd be fun to dive off the top of a car or the top of a van onto a table. I don't really monitor the parking lot activity. Well, there's nobody in the parking lot this year. What am I talking about? So there have been no tables being crashed through this year. But I do think that's the thing in the past because the Bills are good now. People are into football.
Go ahead, Craig.
John, these two teams met back in October. Chiefs got the win 26-17. It seemed Buffalo, wanted to take away the passing of Mahomes, but the Chiefs were able to run the ball really well, while the Bills weren't able to run the ball very well in that game. What are the biggest, things you look for from the first time they met to the second time they met, the biggest differences and maybe biggest things in Buffalo's favor?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I spent couple hours. I just watched the first half of that game. I plan to watch the second half later on tonight. And you're right. I mean, the Chiefs ran it 50 times. Chiefs almost had more rushing attempts than the Bills had plays in the game. They were determined to run the football. The Bills backed off. They didn't get hurt by Kansas City's passing game at all. They didn't give up anything deep to Tyreek Hill or anybody. And I think it was a good strategy, at least in that sense. It was interesting after the game, Sean McDermott admitted that he played differently if he had a chance to do it again. So I'm eager to see what he plans on doing this week defensively. Maybe be a little bit more balanced. You don't want to give up anything deep, but you certainly can't allow the Kansas City Chiefs or anybody to run for 245 yards as they did in that game back in Week 6. And that's the other thing about the game. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'll get around to saying that. But that game was a long time ago. It was 14 weeks ago. I added it up today. That's almost a full season has elapsed since then. The Bills were without several key players who are playing now and playing pretty well now, including some key defenders, Matt Milano in particular. And the Chiefs were without a couple of players, too. I think they're two different teams basically facing each other almost a full season apart. I don't know how instructive that game will be, but I know the Bills are going to watch that video, as are the Chiefs, I'm sure.
One more thing, John Murphy, voice of the Buffalo Bills. It's been obviously an unique year because of COVID. We've had Brad Sham of the Cowboys and others who are voices of teams on, and they've done games from their home stadium, even if the game was in Philadelphia. How has that affected your role or where you have been for home games or road games?
Yeah, we've done every game, including the two playoff games. We've done them right from our home stadium, right from our broadcast booth at Bill Stadium. It's hard to do road games that way. We have nice big television monitors. They pipe in crowd from the venue where the game is being played, but they pipe in crowd noise. But it's not the same, And look, I don't mind traveling, but I don't need another trip to Providence, Rhode Island, or to Cincinnati or anything like that. But what you do miss, I don't miss the travel. But the point I'm trying to make is I don't miss the travel as much as I miss the atmosphere in those other stadiums. Feeling what the crowd sounds like and even interacting with the folks as we do often in Foxborough in a nice way. I mean, you just miss the vibe that you get from all these different venues. I miss one of my favorite sounds doing this for a while is the sound of a visiting stadium when the Bills are going to win. I mean, the place gets silent, and I love that. I love when they just quiet down all the fans in another venue, and we haven't had that this year. At least I haven't witnessed it this year, and I will miss that. I look forward to going back to normal, hopefully next year.
It's interesting. They play Kansas City. Obviously, it depends on what Mahomes, but the opportunity to have Buffalo in a Super Bowl again, are they ready for that emotionally? Yes, obviously, but at the same time, we've had Darryl Talley on, among others. I hope they're ready for that if they get that opportunity.
Yeah, I think they will be. And like I was saying earlier, I think smart fans here view this as a big step, this week's game, and an important step. But they also know that there's more to come, even after this year, no matter how this year turns out. If they should lose on Sunday or maybe lose in the Super Bowl again, I think smart fans know that this is just the beginning. They've got a young franchise quarterback, a very young roster. A coach is just going to wrap up his fourth year. I think folks here view this as the start of something really good for Buffalo Bills over the next several years. I think they hope that way anyway.
John, thank you for your time. Good luck. Have fun. Enjoy it.
Okay, thanks, fellas.
That's John Murphy, voice of the Buffalo Bills. Appreciate that. On SicEm365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour, David Hellman on the Cowboys and their coaching staff. Are they still looking for a defensive line coach, Paul?
I believe so, yeah.
What that process is like. And then Chancey Stuckey, Baylor's new wide receivers coach, played at Clemson. Also, a lot of influence from Dabo Swinney. And, of course, now the wide